Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody who has joined us here on tonight's show tonight. Boy, that's a double meaning right there. We just want to welcome everybody here and want to make sure you get the information you need to make decisions in your life on what you're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about two different volcanoes tonight. We're going to be talking about what happened on Tuesday night in Washington, D.C. and what happened today in the House of Representatives. We're going to be talking about earthquakes as well. Okay? So be sure here you're going to hear it all today. Okay? All of it. We're going to be talking about earthquakes as well. So batten down the hatches, come join us, grab your favorite message or something to drink, your favorite food or dessert that you want to eat, and come join us here on the Emergency Management Associates program, guys. We welcome you all here. And my dear friend Juanito from El Centro, California is here. Welcome. It's good to see you. Richard Smith is here. Maxine is here. Berlinda is here. Demon Catman is here. We've got everybody here, guys. How about that? We got everybody. It's awesome. It's great to see you all. Arnold Smith says his number is 5 for check-in. That's awesome. We appreciate you all here tonight. Now, I'm going to talk about earthquakes in just a few minutes. Give me a couple minutes to talk about what we want to bring out here. You saw what happened in Washington, D.C. Tuesday night. Al Green made a stupid fool of himself, as well as the entire Democrat Party in Washington, D.C., and the Democrat Party across this nation. It's not the individual citizens, okay? It's the politicians that made stupid fools of themselves, okay? Holding up signs that they don't agree with Trump about this, that, or the other thing. They held up signs saying that Elon Musk was stealing, which he's not doing. He's not doing any of that. Holding up signs that Trump is a bull. All kinds of stupid things. Yelling out in the midst of the session. And it's not the first time it happened. Not the first time it's happened. But our House of Representatives leader, Speaker of the House, Johnson, got fed up with it. He asked Al Green to sit down and take his seat and the House to come into order. They did not do that. Al Green continues to spout off, yelling and screaming, even though his words did make microphones. He was yelling and screaming and interrupting President Trump. And finally, Speaker Johnson had Al Green removed from the whole ceremony, whole speech. Now, I'm going to play for you what happened to Al Green today. Okay? Al Green was censured from the House of Representatives. I want to play this for you.
Will Representative Green present himself to the will? By its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured, that Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. The House had come to order. The House had come to order. What's that? The House had come to order. Clear the well, please. Clear the well. The House has to continue its business. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Okay, what happened here is Speaker Johnson got tired of everybody, all these Democrats, protesting in the well of the Senate. The well is right in front of the Speaker's platform and right in front of the rostrum where President Trump spoke Tuesday night. That's called a well. When a member of the Senate or the House is being censured, they're called to the well to take their censure. Al Green said the other night, after he was unceremoniously led out of the joint session where President Trump was speaking, he said he was ready to take any punishment that was due him because of what he did. Now, this has happened before with Republicans and Democrats, but this is the latest episode of Democrats protesting. When Speaker Johnson wanted to censure Al Green and read the exact words of the censure to Al Green and the House, the Democrats decided to go into the well around Al Green and start singing, "We will overcome. We will overcome." Remnants of Martin Luther King days. Okay? The Democrats don't want anybody to talk to them. They don't want anybody to punish them. They don't want anybody to interrupt them. They want their way, and they want their cake and eat it too. The Democrats will be censured as well. All these Democrats that continue to protest and do nasty things will ultimately be censured. This is not going to be allowed to happen. Ruthie B is here in the chat saying no respect. That's exactly the position. The Democrats don't respect anyone. They think they are the only ones in power, which is not true. It's not true at all. And in fact, when the censure came up for voting, the Republicans overwhelmingly had the lead. Okay? The Democrats did not. 10 Democrats came over with the Republicans to censure Al Green. 10 of the Democrats came over to help censure Al Green, knowing that Al Green did wrong. But the Democrats didn't have the numbers to stop the censure. The censure made history here. Okay? Al Green was censured. They could have removed him from Congress. They could have removed him from Congress. That also didn't happen. But it could have happened. Al Green and all the other Democrats think they can do whatever they want to do and not suffer from anything. Okay? Ruthie B says, Ron, Demon, Berlinda, Catherine, Richard, Juanita, Charlene, Arnold, Maxine. Applauding. That's awesome. I appreciate your support. But Al Green was censured because of what he did. Okay? Waving his cane at President Trump. Waving a cane can be considered an act of violence. And as a result, Speaker of the House Johnson, Tuesday night, after Green interrupted President Trump, called for Green to be escorted out of the House and Senate session by the Sergeant-at-Arms of the House. The Sergeant-at-Arms in the House is the law enforcement representative for the House of Representatives. So Al Green was escorted by law enforcement to get out. And if you saw the President Trump speech on Tuesday night, Vice President was standing behind President Trump, and he made the biggest picturesque screening by tossing his thumb out like this, saying, "Get him out." Isn't that funny? G.D. Vance said, "Get out," and they escorted him out. This cannot be allowed to continue. The Democrats think they can do whatever they want, and they'll get whatever they want, and that's not going to happen. It's absolutely not going to happen. He was escorted out, and he will not be allowed to come back. And when they come back, if the Democrats continue to do this, each and every one of these Democrats that continues to protest will be censured until there's nobody left. that also could happen. Now, let's take this back to 2020, when Pelosi ripped up President Trump's speech in 2020, March 2020. That document that she ripped up was actually an official document. President's speech was an official document that President Trump handed to her and also handed to the Vice President. Okay? It's an official document. She could actually have been arrested for that. Destruction of federal property. Destruction of federal property. And she probably should have. Nancy Pelosi may be suffering from dementia as well as the former president. And Nancy Pelosi has showed up drunk at various functions during the past few months, as well as Vice President Harris showing up drunk at various meetings that she was supposed to attend. Isn't that interesting? These leaders show up at public events and they make fools of themselves. That's what's going on. Okay? It's a sad state. Nancy Pelosi could have been arrested for ripping up that speech. She should have. She should have. Now, I want to talk about other things here. Okay? Let's get off of that and talk about other things here. I want to talk about Kilauea first. Okay? Kilauea erupted for the 12th time back here earlier this month. Okay? And this month is only 6 days in. It's only 6 days in. It's incredible. Okay? If the past 2 months and about 10 days of this eruption within Halemaumau crater at Kilauea, the summit caldera of Kilauea volcano on the Big Island, was season 1 of the average series of TV. Okay? It would be season 1 of the average season of TV. But now it has stopped erupting. Okay? It would now be finished with this episode, number 12, coming to a close this morning. The Hawaii Volcano Observatory, USGS Observatory at Kilauea, reports the most recent eruptive activity at the north and south vents of the crater began with sporadic, sluggish, intermittent lava flows at 7:30 a.m. yesterday morning, and increased to continuous flows by 12:45 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Then, just a little more than an hour later at 2 p.m., the volcano started putting on a show that everybody had been looking forward to. Large fountains, lava fountains, started again shooting up. The lava fountains again shot up molten rock as high into the air as 300 feet high, with the lava dance continuing much to the delight of all those who were able to see the spectacle in person or from the summit of the volcano. Just like the best season finale. Just like the best season finale. It came to an abruptive, roaring, eruptive event that ended all too soon at 10:37 p.m. or 10:37 a.m. this morning, just less than 22 hours after the continuous activity began. Both vents of Kilauea volcano stopped erupting after 10:30 a.m. this morning. And at the same time, summit deflation rapidly changed from deflation, meaning lava going down inside the crater, and the ground moving down. Okay? We've talked about this in the past. Let me show you how that happens. Okay? When there is magma down in the magma chamber beneath the volcano, the magma coming up is causing the land to rise. After this present eruption happened and ended, all of a sudden there was deflation. In other words, the ground went down. Right after the ground started going down, deflation, it also started rising back up. Sensors around Halemaumau crater showed that lava beneath the magma chamber, beneath the top of the volcano, started pushing back up inside the volcano, causing the land to rise. Okay? That's what happened today. Okay? The deflation rapidly changed to inflation. Okay? The tilt meters, which are the GPS devices at the volcano, recorded about 11 microradians of deflation during episode 12, meaning the latest volcanic eruption just ended. Okay, it changed to inflation, meaning magma from inside the volcano started to rise again. Perhaps this sudden inflation might be called a teaser for a new television season of eruptive volcanoes at Kilauea. Eruptive activity at Kilauea. Could be season 13 of Kilauea's season now. Isn't that interesting? And by the way, look at all these people that were gathered around the rim of the Kilauea volcano to watch this sudden season of season 12, eruptive activity at Kilauea, and then all of a sudden it ended this morning. Fun. All sorts of fun. Okay? I thought that might interest you. Several of you talked about Kilauea volcano erupting. Well, just guess what? You just saw the last of it so far. Now that could change. That could change at any time. We might see inflation happen, and then all of a sudden Kilauea volcano erupts again. Notice also how close to the summit, close to the top of the rim of the volcano, that these lava features are erupting to. Probably 100 feet. It starts, the caldera floor is about 100 feet shy of the top of the rim of the volcano. That's how much the magma has forced the caldera to rise. Okay? The lava floor is called the caldera. The caldera lava hardens. Okay? Then it re-erupts just like this. And the floor of the caldera keeps rising. Now it's within the 100 feet of the rim of the volcano. Just 5 years ago, 5 short years ago, we had the caldera floor fall into the bottom of the crater. Okay, how'd that happen? Back in 2019, okay, we saw the lava over in Kilauea volcano and Pu'u'o'o volcano disappear. The scientists saw it disappear. All their scientific instruments said that the lava left Kilauea volcano and Pu'u'o'o volcano. What happened? We all know that story. A couple days later, all of a sudden we had eruptive activity out in the fern forest area of the Hawaii island, and also out towards Leilani Estates. 24 fissures opened up, and then lava started pouring out of those fissures. And now, as we've talked about before, many of those fissures are now named volcanoes. The Hawaiian people named those volcanoes. Okay? That's what happened. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about Kilauea volcano erupting today and stopping erupting early this morning? Kathy Behrman says she doesn't think she would want to be that close. I would like to be at the rim of the volcano, but they are not right at the edge of the rim, okay? The Hawaii Volcanoes Observatory, the USGS at the Hawaii Volcanoes Observatory doesn't let anybody get that close. You cannot fall into the volcano. It's not going to happen. But people can get so close enough to see to the opposite side of the volcano. And that's what we see here. Okay? People are looking from I believe it's the northwest side of Kilauea, looking towards the southeast. That's what we're seeing here. The eruptive fissures here at the caldera are erupting on the southeast side of the volcano. It's pretty. It's beautiful. It is. Okay? But that's our story about Kilauea. Now I want to talk about another volcano now. Over in the Canary Islands. Okay? These are the Canary Islands. Now, there had been a point a few years ago where we had a volcano called Cumbre Vieja volcano over on La Palma Island. La Palma Island is over on the center left side of this picture here. La Palma Island is the island of the Canary Islands over on the far left side of this picture here. Tenerife is where we're going to today. Tenerife looks like an upside down, shall I say, champagne glass or a margarita glass, okay, kind of sideways upside down. That's Tenerife Island. That's Tenerife Island. Now, there is a volcano there called Tieda Volcano. Tieda Volcano, Tiedea Volcano. You can see this volcano here. All of these yellow and red circles here represent earthquakes at the volcano. Magma down beneath the volcano, and it's causing earthquakes at the surface. Now these earthquakes are just below the surface, okay? They're no more than 7 kilometers deep. No more than 7 kilometers deep. There's been almost 100 earthquakes in the last, I want to say 72 hours. Nearly 100 earthquakes here at Tenerife Volcano here, Tieda Volcano. People are worried. People are very worried. There's villages all over the beach sides of this island. People living and tourists coming here to Tenerife Island to catch the rays of the sun, the ocean waters, and have fun. But now they have worries that something is going to happen here at Tenerife Volcano. Mount Tieda, T-E-I-D-E. Okay? Now, Mount Tieda is the third highest volcanic structure in the world, following Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea in Hawaii. It's also Spain's highest peak. Spain owns the Canary Islands. Okay? The formation of these islands began 170,000 years ago, following the giant collapse of the former volcanic edifice, which was even bigger than the one that now stands here today. This is how the caldera was formed. Today we can only see part of what they call the escarpment, because as the inside of Tieda grew, it gradually filled the caldera with its lava materials. Tieda Volcano is a stratovolcano. Stratovolcanoes grow because of successive lava eruptions. Successive lava eruptions. Eruptions that happen over and over and over again. This is Tieda Volcano right here. Okay? Stratovolcanoes grow because of multiple eruptions over and over again, and then the lava piles on top of the previous lava, and the volcano grows. Okay? As this viscous lava settles one lava flow on top of another. During the last 20,000 years, lava has accumulated and erupted from vents around the base of Mount Tieda, because the lava is found it harder and harder to spew from the very peak or the summit of the volcano. So the lava is actually pushed out from the side or base of the volcano as erupted from a vent. Today, we have another bulge on the side of Mount Tieda, just like we've seen at Mount Rainier. A bulge on the side of Mount Rainier. That's what's happening. The bulge of Mount Rainier has been happening for at least 5 years that I know of. Okay? But according to the beliefs of the Canary Island people, what they call the Canary Island Aboriginals, Guanches, Guanches, Guanches. Those are the Canadian Island Aboriginals. Okay? Guyota, Guyota, the king of evil, the devil, lived inside Mount Tieda, which they called hell. And Guyota, the myth, as it says he kidnapped the god of magic, M-A-G-E-C, who is the god of light and sun. And Guyota, when he kidnapped Magic, he took him down inside Mount Tieda. The Guanches asked Achaman their supreme god for mercy and managed to defeat Quillota and rescue magic from the depths of Mount Tierra and plug up the crater. It is said that the whitish plug that Achaman put in place is the last cone of the volcano crowning Mount Tierra. The scientific community for the evaluation and monitoring of volcanic phenomena, the CCES, has confirmed that Tierra volcano in Tenerife, Spain, is exhibiting anomalous geophysical activity, earthquakes. Anomalous geophysical activity characterized by increased seismicity, earthquakes. Geodetic deformation, the movement of land, either up or down, deflation going down or inflation going up. They're seeing inflation of the volcano. They're also seeing gas emissions. Now, while there are no indications, I want to repeat this. Someone else here on YouTube said that there is a possibility of an eruption at Mount Tierra there on the Canary Islands. That is wrong. There are no indications of an imminent eruption. And experts acknowledge that there is an elevated likelihood of volcanic activity in the meantime or even in the long term. There is an elevated likelihood of volcanic activity on Tenerife at Mount Tierra in the long term. Since 2016, monitoring networks have recorded gradual yet persistent geophysical changes, inflation and deflation beneath Tierra, with marked intensification of activity since 2022. Earthquakes happening and more earthquakes happening. Again, these earthquakes are no more than 1.5, 1.7 tremors below the volcano. Nothing larger. I want to repeat this as I said before. Volcanic eruptions tend to be larger than even a 5.0. So right now there is no indication of an eruption at Tenerife volcano, Mount Tierra. I want to make that clear. There is no indications that Mount Tierra is going to erupt even in the near term. Okay? They have monitoring networks set up that have recorded gradual but persistent geophysical changes, inflation and deflation, okay, around Mount Tierra, with marked intensification of seismic activity, tremors, 1.0, 1.9 on the Richter scale are called tremors. Nobody can feel those. Key indicators including seismic swarms, earthquake swarms, tremors, ground deformation, and variations in gas emissions. What gas emissions are we talking about? We're talking about sulfur dioxide, which is that egg sulfur smell that you smell, and also CO2, carbon dioxide. Okay? Those emissions suggest increasing pressurization within the hydrothermal system underlying the stratovolcano. The hydrothermal system, the water at the base level of the volcano, the water table. Of particular note is the correlation between altered fumarolic emissions, meaning they have small craters just like we've seen over at Yellowstone that are fumaroles that are fuming. You smell that sulfur dioxide smell around those craters, those fumaroles. And seismic activity concentrated around Las Cañadas. Las Cañadas is one of the base areas of venting around Mount Tierra. Okay? Now, what have we seen in the past? I'm going to ask you that. What have we seen in the past? Okay? We've seen volcanic activity at La Palma Island with Cumbre Vieja volcano that erupted for almost 9 months. Then it stopped. What does this mean? What does this all mean? That hot spot coming up from the center of the earth has moved. How's it moved? Tectonic plate movement. Tectonic plate movement. Okay, the tectonic plate has moved. In this case, we've talked about the mid-Atlantic fault moving, haven't we? We talked about the mid-Atlantic fault pushing the North American continent in a south-southwesterly direction. Well, at the same time, the Atlantic plate expansion over on the eastern side, pushing Africa and Europe in an easterly direction. Okay, so we've seen volcanic activity a few years ago at La Palma Island. Now, with tectonic plate movement, that activity has pushed to the east and is now at Tenerife Island, Mount Tierra. Okay? We talked about tectonic plate movement and volcanoes before. You cannot have a volcano unless you have plate movement. You cannot have a volcano unless you have plate movement. That's what's going on here in the Canary Islands. Okay, I want to make that clear. That's what's happening over the Canary Islands. The Atlantic plate is expanding. As it expands, it's pushing Europe in an easterly direction, and it's pushing the North American continent in a south-southwesterly direction. Okay? That's what's happening. Over the past week, there's been a localized seismic cluster near Villaflor, which is one of the vents at the base of Mount Tierra. Okay? That seismic cluster has generated at least 14 earthquakes within a 24-hour period. 14 earthquakes within a 24-hour period. Again, those earthquakes are just tremors. Very tiny movement. Very tiny seismic movement. Tremors. 1.0 to 1.9 magnitude. Now, the Canary Islands government has said that they remain vigilant, monitoring the operational readiness of their special civil protection and emergency plan for the Canary Islands. They call it Civil Protection and Emergency Plan for Volcanic Risk. PEVOLCA. PEVOLCA. When I was talking about and broadcasting about the Cumbre Vieja volcano erupting on La Palma several years ago, I was in touch with the Pevlock people, making sure we were getting information out to the public. They counted on me. I talked to them at least 2 or 3 times a day, 7 days a week for the longest time. Okay? Now, while there is no immediate hazard to the population of Tenerife, authorities want to stress the importance of continuous monitoring and public awareness. Residents and visitors at Tenerife are advised to stay informed through official updates and also to adhere to any guidance provided by emergency management agencies, particularly in regions experiencing heightened seismic activity, which, as you saw with that map of Tenerife, you saw it was on the southeasterly part of the base of Mount Tierra. Okay? Tenerife is the largest and most populous island of the Canary Islands. It is home to 42.8% of the total population of the islands of Canary Islands. Okay? They have 42.8% of the population, with a land area of 2,034.38 square kilometers, or 785.48 square miles. Okay? Just under 786 square miles. Okay? In 2016, a huge volcano, Tierra, on the island of Tenerife sparked fears of huge eruption after nearly 100 mini earthquakes, tremors. 100 mini earthquakes, tremors were reported in a 4-hour period. in a 4-hour period. As I stated at the beginning of this conversation about Mount Tieta, now they're reporting 100 earthquakes in a 24-hour period. Back in 2016, they had 100 earthquakes, tremors, within a 4-hour period. Unreal. That would have also surprised scientists then, and what would happen if it happened now. 100 earthquakes within a 4-hour period would be huge. The Volcanology Institute of the Canary Islands, called INVOLCAN, reported a significant spike in seismic activity. Some 92 microquakes, tremors, were recorded at Aveyah, ADEGA, and Villaflor, which are the vents of Mount Tieta, in the space of 4 hours. 92 microquakes were recorded in the space of 4 hours. This is in 2016, with one of them measuring a 1.5 on the Richter scale, again a tremor. The majority of the quakes happening here at Tenerife took place between 7 and 13 kilometers below surface. The majority of these tremors happen between 7 and 13 kilometers below the surface. Okay? This sparked fears in the face of the scientists. This sparked fears that Mount Tieta was about to erupt. And in 2016, INVOLCAN, which is the agency, said they sent teams to measure the carbon dioxide levels around the volcano. An increase in carbon dioxide is said to be an early indicator of volcanic earthquake activity that can precede an eruption. And I'm sure that they just did not want to monitor carbon dioxide, but also SO2, sulfur dioxide. Now, in principle, these earthquakes are very low earthquake magnitude, tremors. But this is consistent with those that occur with active volcanoes, including Kilauea, Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea, and other volcanoes around the world. INVOLCAN Director Nemesio Perez told the local media today there is no reason for alarm as his teams continue to monitor the situation on Tenerife. A huge volcano on the island, Mount Tieta, has sparked fears of huge eruption after nearly 100 mini earthquakes were reported. This happened in the past in 2016, and now it's happening again. But this time, the 100 earthquakes happened within 24 hours, not just 4. INVOLCANs reported a significant spike in seismic activity on Sunday afternoon. That's when they first saw the swarm happening. Some 92 microquakes were reported at the vents Aveyah and Villaflor in the space of a few hours, with one measuring a 1.1 on the Richter scale. Tremor. The majority of these earthquakes took place between 7 and, like I said, 13 kilometers below the surface. Okay? That's what's going on. They describe these earthquakes as a seismic swarm, which is abnormal for the region. It's abnormal for the region. As I said, the Atlantic plate is expanding. So that magma plume coming up from the center of the Earth has moved as that plate has moved. It used to be happening just under La Palma Island. Now it has moved eastward over Tenerife to Mount Tieta. The magma plume coming from the center of the Earth has moved east. The plate has moved. Now, in principle, these earthquakes are very low magnitude, just tremors, consistent with those that occur at other active volcanoes. Okay? Again, INVOLCAN, the seismic agency over in the Canary Islands, is monitoring Mount Tieta, monitoring the carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide levels around the volcano. And even though there's a large population of people that live there and that are tourists there, They will continue to monitor the situation and report the information to the population on the island. And if they have any idea that there's something going to happen, they will invariably evacuate the island. But they do not see that happening anytime soon. Okay? And Vulcan said in a statement earlier today, we are registering important seismic rally on the island of Tenerife. In principle, these earthquakes are very low magnitude, consistent with those that occur at active volcanoes. The number of earthquakes is provisional pending the analysis of the signals more closely, but we can qualify this activity as a seismic swarm, whose pattern is in alignment with previous and prevailing direction northeast to southwest. And Vulcan Director Nemesio Perez told local media there is no reason for alarm, as his teams continue to monitor the site. Mount Tieta last erupted in 1909, and the last reported increase in seismic activity dates back to 2003. The last reported increase in seismic activity dates back to 2003. The last eruption happened in 1909. Okay? In 2003, a rift opened up on the northeast side of the volcano. A rift opened up. Okay? What's a rift? It's a fissure. A rift is a fissure that opened up on the northeast side of Mount Tieta. The volcano, although it's dormant, is considered to be active and structurally unstable. Okay? Now, when I first, years ago, heard of a volcano being dormant, nothing happening. But when they saw that rift open up, in 2003, they realized that that volcano is structurally unstable, meaning the movement of ground, the movement of plate activity could cause that rift or fissure open up. And that's what happened. Again, Mount Tieta last erupted in 1909. Paque Perez from the Vulcan Agency said he hopes that this does not happen again. And, quote, he hopes that Tieta is snoring peacefully. He hoped Mount Tieta is snoring peacefully. His words. Pedro Hernandez, an Vulcan researcher, warned that the Canary Islands could experience a volcanic eruption every 40 years. The Canary Islands could receive a volcanic eruption every 40 years. So it has not happened since 1909, and now we are in 2025. Now it's over 100 years since the last eruption. Okay? I wanted to make sure I got that information out to you because many people are talking. People are talking. And I wanted to make sure you got the information from me because I report it when it happens. Does anybody have any questions about Mount Tieta, Kilauea volcano, or any other volcanic activity? The other day we talked about activity over in the Pacific Northwest. We talked about Mount St. Helens and we talked about Mount Rainier. Those are the two volcanoes that we're constantly monitoring. And right now there is no indication that either one of those volcanoes is ready to erupt. Yes, there is activity at those volcanoes. Yes, that activity is just activity that happens prior to a volcanic eruption. But the eruption is not imminent. The eruption, either Mount St. Helens or Mount Rainier, is not imminent. It's going to happen. I can promise you it's going to happen. But I don't think it's going to happen today or tomorrow or even next week or possibly next year. It's going to happen. Okay? Any questions? I want to make sure I cover all the bases here. I want to make sure you have the latest information. I think it's very important. I think it's very, very important. Okay, I don't see any questions so far. So let's go over to the USGS map. Let's take down my banner. Let's take down our webcam for right now. Let's go over here and look at what's actually going on around the world. Literally, around the world. Okay? Let's go over here to South America. Okay? Over here in Chile. In the Andes Mountains here. This is the largest earthquake of the day. This is a very strong 6.1 earthquake. Now I went here earlier and checked it out. Okay? This happened at 11:21 a.m. this morning, Eastern Time. I checked this out. This probably was a 6.5 earthquake. This probably was a 6.5 earthquake, not a 6.1. I'm just going to be honest with you. This is 103 kilometers west-southwest of San Pedro de Atacama, Chile. Northern Chile here. Southwest-southwest of Pedro Atacama, Chile. Okay? Look where it's at. It's basically in the foothills of the Andes Mountains. It's in the foothills of the Andes Mountains. I don't believe there are any small communities or villages anywhere in this area. But again, and I want to make this perfectly clear, the Andes Mountains have volcanoes all over them. The Andes Mountains here in Chile and Argentina have volcanoes all around them. And the Andes Mountains all the way into northern Colombia have volcanoes on those hillsides as well. And you can see in this particular satellite photography here, you can see how the lava is settled here on the ground. You can see the lava settled here on the ground. This is a volcanic area. This is very much a volcanic area. Okay? Up here, on the east side of the volcano here, or east side of the earthquake, right here, we have what? Craters. We have craters. We also see evidence of magma around here. Okay? So this earthquake may be due to magma beneath the surface here in Atacama, Chile. It may be due to magma here near the surface here in Atacama, Chile. A 6.1 earthquake here. And like I said, I believe it may have been a 6.5. And I will reanalyze this a little bit later tonight, and if it changes, I will get back with you about it. But this is the largest earthquake here in a while. It's the largest earthquake here in a while. Now this is not the only earthquake that happened here. Right here, just north of that earthquake. This is a 4.2 near Kilauea, Chile. 4.2 earthquake, 35 kilometers northeast of Kilauea, Chile. Okay? One other earthquake here. This is Tocota, Peru. Tocota, Peru. Southern Peru. This is a 4.2 earthquake. 4.2 earthquake here. Guess what? Guess what, guys? Let's zoom in here. I want to show you what's actually going on. Right here. Sabancaya Volcano. Sabancaya Volcano. Sabancaya Volcano has been erupting. Sabancaya Volcano has been erupting. Now, as we have earthquakes here, the earthquakes indicate that Sabancaya Volcano is getting magma towards the volcano. And this is not the only earthquake that's hit here. None of these earthquakes here are the only earthquakes that hit here. As you can see, USGS wants us to think this is the only thing that's going on. Guess what? USGS is lying through their teeth. Let me show you really what's going on here in South America. And I hate like heck doing this. Okay? I wish I could say something else. Let's bring up my webcam here. I'm not going to get rid of the USGS map here. I want to show you the webcam. I want to show you what is really happening here in Chile and in southern Peru. Look at this, guys. Look at the earthquakes happening around that 6.1, 6.5 earthquake. It's not the only earthquake that's happened here. It's not the only earthquake that's happened. Let me move this a little closer here. Zoom in here. Down here to the south, Mendoza Province, Argentina, on the eastern side of the mountains of Chile. Okay, this is on the eastern side of the Andes Mountains. This is a 2.7 earthquake. 2.7 earthquake. North of there, we have another 2.7, a 2.5, and then northeast of there, a 3.4 earthquake. We have two more 2.7s, and a 3.4 right here. That's Argentina. Argentina. We go north and west over to the shoreline of Chile, Coquimbo, Chile. We have a 2.8 earthquake here near the shoreline of Chile, Coquimbo, Chile, 2.8 earthquake. Now, about 10 years ago, we had a major earthquake here, an 8.0 earthquake here at Coquimbo, Chile, an 8.0. There was massive destruction all over this area. We are expecting that to happen again. I fully expect that to happen again. Okay? We go north here. Okay? Atacama, Chile. This is a 3.2 earthquake here. 3.2 small earthquake there. Okay? Then we go up here to the north. Look at all these earthquakes here. See that purple or violet earthquake? That is their supposed 6.1 that I'm calling a 6.5 quake. Look at the earthquakes around it. Aftershocks. Aftershocks to that earthquake. That's what happens. 6.1 earthquakes create aftershocks of quakes. Okay? Over to the west, a 2.6. To the right, a 2.8. To the west side of that earthquake, a 2.6. And to the right side, east side of that earthquake, a 2.7. Or I'm sorry, 2.8. Then out northeast of there, another 2.7, 3.1. Further out here to the east, 3.1 earthquake there. All these are in the Andes Mountains, guys. Salta, Argentina, a 3.4 earthquake there. Salta, Argentina. And further out into Argentina, Jujuy Province, Argentina. We have many, many earthquakes that have occurred here in Jujuy Province of Argentina. This is a 2.9 minor earthquake here. We've had 5.0 earthquakes here in Jujuy, Argentina before. Jujuy. Jujuy, Argentina. It's in the eastern foothills of the Andes Mountains. Okay? Look at all these other earthquakes here. There are 24 earthquakes here in Chile and Argentina. 24 earthquakes here in Chile and Argentina. And USGS wants to show us 3. USGS wants to show us 3. Offshore in northern Chile here, Tarapacá, Chile, a 2.7. Then further north, okay, this is over in southern Peru also at the Chilean, near the Chilean-Peruvian border. Here's another 4.0. That's a 4.0 there. Okay? It's incredible what they want to get away with, huh? Incredible. Central America. USGS again is not showing any earthquakes here in Central America. Let's go over to Costa Rica. Kicks and giggles. 3.2. 3.2 here in Costa Rica. Let's move this map further south. Now you can see Central America here. There's a 4.6 here in Nicaragua. 4.6 moderate earthquake here in Nicaragua. Okay? Let's go there. This is northern Costa Rica here. Northern Costa Rica here is a 3.4. Hold on a second. Northern Costa Rica, we have a 3.4 earthquake there. Okay? We go north. Here's that 4.6 off the coast of Machapa, Nicaragua. There's that 4.6 the USGS is talking about. Why are they ignoring the other earthquakes? Inquiring minds want to know. There's the 4.6 USGS is talking about. There's two other earthquakes here as well. A 3.28 to the north of there, near the shoreline, and near the coast of Nicaragua we have another 2.8. 3 earthquakes off the coast of Nicaragua, and they're showing us 1. They're showing us 1. Crazy, huh? Mexico. And again, this is the European map. Mexico, southern Mexico, they're showing us a 4.2. A 4.2. They're not showing any other earthquakes here in southern Mexico. What a joke. Even the European agency is not showing earthquakes here in southern Mexico. And every day there are earthquakes here in southern Mexico. I promise you that. There always have been, and there always will be. It doesn't matter what the agencies say, or not say in this case. They're not showing any earthquakes here in southern Mexico. It's a joke. It's a fib. It's a fib. It's a sad state of affairs. A very sad state of affairs. Alaska. We've had seismic activity here in southern Alaska. Even a 4-pointer. A moderate earthquake in southern Alaska. Now, just a second. There it is. Here over near Anchor Point, Alaska. This is a 4.3 that came out earlier this afternoon. A 4.3 moderate earthquake here. Okay? That's the largest earthquake in southern Alaska today. There are a lot of other earthquakes here. There are 26 earthquakes here in southern Alaska. 26 earthquakes. 26 earthquakes. Why is USGS not showing all the quakes? Why are they not showing all the quakes here? They're showing one earthquake up here to the north. One earthquake up here to the north near the Arctic Circle. Right there. Again, this is near Wiseman, Alaska. This is not the only earthquake that has occurred here near Wiseman, Alaska. We've been seeing earthquakes here for the past week. This is a 1.7 tremor up here near Wiseman, Alaska, near the Arctic Circle. Okay? We continue to see earthquakes there. Down here. This is Chenega, Alaska. This is a 2.7 minor earthquake here. The Gulf of Alaska down here, just south of Valdez. Just south of Valdez, Alaska. We come down here into the Aleutian Islands here. Okay? This is a 1.6 tremor here. 1.6 tremor. Further northeast here. This is 42 kilometers northeast of Adak. This is a 1.6 tremor. 1.6 tremor just north of the volcano. Just north of that volcano. We come down here further to the west. we have a 0.8 microquake here at the volcano. Again, this is west of Adak, Alaska. 108 kilometers west of Adak, Alaska here. And this earthquake happens at this volcano. 0.8 microquake here at the volcano. Okay? Over here. I just love the earthquakes here. I just love these earthquakes here. This is 260 kilometers. This is 260 kilometers west of Adak, Alaska, near the Rat Islands. Near the Rat Islands. This is a 0.9 microquake here. A 0.9 microquake. What do we have here? What do we have here, guys? Can you say volcano here? Or shall I say a volcanic complex? This is the volcanic complex, guys. We have a volcano further here to the north. And this area here is volcanic complex. Vents probably that volcano. Okay? Magma's here in the Rat Islands here. Okay? Then we come over further here to the southwest here. Kuril Island south of Kamchatka Peninsula. Okay? And the Kuril Islands here south of Kamchatka Peninsula. This is a 2.7 earthquake. 2.7 earthquake over here south of Kamchatka Peninsula in the Kuril Islands. But USGS still is not reporting all the earthquakes. I'm showing you the Kamchatka Peninsula here as well, right here. They're not showing any earthquakes. However, the European agencies reported an earthquake here. It's a 4.1 earthquake. It's a 4.1 earthquake over here in the southern Kamchatka Peninsula. Okay? Interesting. Interesting. Okay? They're not reporting any, no one is reporting any earthquakes in Japan, which is kind of a surprise. Kind of a surprise. We pulled down here past Taiwan. No earthquakes in Taiwan. Fabulous to see it, huh? All kinds of fabulous. Okay? We go down here to the Philippines. This is a 4.6 near Osias, O-S-I-A-S-S, Philippines. Central Philippines. But guess what? There's more earthquakes than that. This island to the north here is called, what's it called? Now the name of the island just gone. All of a sudden just took off. Anyway, Luzon, Philippines. Luzon, Philippines. Guess what? There's a 3.4 here in southern Luzon, Philippines right there. 3.4 earthquake here in the southern Luzon, Philippines area. Right there. We go south. Numerous earthquakes. 4.0. 4.0 right there. Let's continue south here. There's another 4.2. All of these earthquakes are moderate earthquakes. 4.2. Further south, just north of Mindanao, Philippines, this is a 3.1 earthquake. 3.1 small earthquake right there. North of Mindanao Island, Philippines. Okay? Let's pull this USGS map up a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay? We go north there. Burgos, a 3.1. 3.1. Fabulous, huh? I agree. Totally agree. But again, they're not showing all the earthquakes either. They're attempting to make up a story that there's really nothing going on. Okay? Let's continue over here to the east side of Mindanao, Philippines. There's a 3.7 earthquake right there. The eastern side of Mindanao, Philippines. Folks, I believe this is an aftershock. An aftershock of about a 7.4 earthquake that hit here 8 months ago. A 7.4 earthquake hit here 8 months ago. This is an aftershock of that earthquake. Okay, a 3.7. Further south here, Mindanao, Philippines, is a 3.8. 3.8. Then over here, towards the northwestern side, Mindanao, Philippines, we have another 4.6 earthquake here. 4.6 earthquake on Mindanao, Philippines. Let's see if the USGS has this here. Bingo. That's Mindanao, Philippines right there. Over here in Indonesia, USGS is showing us 2 earthquakes. 2 earthquakes here. This is a 4.6 near Fakfak, Indonesia. FAK, Indonesia. 4.6 moderate earthquake there. This is Ambon, Indonesia. We've had numerous earthquakes here in Ambon, Indonesia, and here we have another 4.3. But guess what? It's not the only earthquakes that have happened here. Look at all the earthquakes in Indonesia today. USGS, out of the goodness of their heart, shows us 2 earthquakes. That's interesting. That's really interesting. We have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16, 18 earthquakes. 19, 20 earthquakes. 20 earthquakes. Over here in, let me pull the USGS map over here a little bit. Over here in Sumatra there. See that island over here on the western side of Indonesia here? Sumatra. We have a 3.8 earthquake in Bengkulu, Sumatra. 3.8 small earthquake here in Bengkulu, Sumatra. And USGS showed us nothing. Not a thing. Nothing happens, huh? 20 earthquakes over there in Indonesia, USGS shows us 2. Fabulous. Just fabulous. Now I want to go over to Vanuatu. During the past 3 to 4 months, we've reported 7.4 earthquakes hitting Vanuatu. Numerous of them. Here near Hog Harbor, Sama Province, Vanuatu, there's a 4.6 earthquake right there. Okay? 4.6 earthquake in Vanuatu. South of there, Loyalty Islands Province, New Caledonia. There's a 2.5 there. 2.5 in Loyalty Islands. Okay? Then we move down here to New Zealand. Look at the earthquakes here in New Zealand. Let's pull this USGS map over. Okay? They're showing us 1 earthquake. 1 earthquake over here on the north side of the South Island of New Zealand. This is a 4.1 earthquake. 56 kilometers north-northeast, Waikawa, New Zealand. Waikawa, New Zealand. 4.5 earthquake. Really? Guess what? It's not the only earthquake here. Over in the west central part of the South Island, a 2.65 earthquake there, minor earthquake. Okay? Continue north on the South Island. And this is just barely south of Christchurch. Just barely south of Christchurch. Virginia, Canterbury, New Zealand. A 2.53 earthquake here, just south of Christchurch. Over on the eastern side, northeastern side of Christchurch, we have another 2.23 earthquake there. Again, it's over on the South Island. Okay? Then we can come over here. Okay? Marlborough, New Zealand, just north of Christchurch here. A 2.28 earthquake there. And the Europeans aren't even showing us that 4.5 near Waikaiwa, Indonesia, or Waikaiwa, New Zealand there. They're not showing the 4.5 there, which would be actually they're showing offshore. The Europeans are showing this offshore from the South Island there. 4.5 earthquake right there. Okay, one other earthquake over here on the west side. Again, this is in the Cook Strait here. This is the Cook Strait. The Cook Strait is the body of water between the North and South Islands of New Zealand here. The Cook Strait. Okay, we're having a 2.28. Northwest of there, a 2.22. Then over on the eastern side, okay, here's a 2.23 off the northeastern side of the South Island of New Zealand. 2.23 earthquake, minor earthquake. Okay, just over here in the water between the two islands, 5 earthquakes. 5 earthquakes. We're showing 3 earthquakes on the South Island itself. North Island. North Island. Look what we have to show you here. USGS not showing 1 earthquake. Not 1. Okay? Over on the southwestern side of the North Island, that's a 2.46 minor earthquake. On the eastern side, southeastern side, this is the 3.15. 3.51 earthquake there. Okay? Maria Red Feathers here. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. We're glad you're here. Those people who are new to the channel, please subscribe to our channel and also hit that thumbs up button. And also, after you subscribe, you're going to want to also click on that little bell icon. There's a tiny little bit of a bell icon. Click on that. When you click on that bell icon, you're going to see a drop-down menu pop up of 3 items. Click on the word ALL, all. That way you'll get subscribed and also notified when we come on the air. During the weekdays, we come on the air between 6 and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Time. On Saturdays, we don't usually come on the air unless something happens. And yes, when things do happen, we're on the air on Saturdays and even Sundays. For sure on Sunday, we have a Sunday school class that we call Come Follow Me, the Savior Said, where we talk about Christ, our Savior. So please join us for that as well. And if something else happens, even on Sundays, we do come on the air to talk about it after our Sunday school class. Okay? But we have 2 earthquakes on the east and west side of the south part of the North Island. Okay? Now, for those of you that haven't been here in a while, or maybe you have missed me talking about before, we have a super volcano over on the North Island, the center of the North Island here. This is Taupo Lake. Taupo Lake, T-A-U-P-O Lake. Taupo Lake is a super volcano. A super volcano. Yes, we have been having earthquakes here. We have been having earthquakes here at the super volcano. Has happened. North of the super volcano, we have a 2.45 earthquake. 2.45 earthquake just north of the super volcano. It's on that huge earthquake fault coming out of Fiji. That earthquake is on the fault zone coming out of Fiji. You can see it there. It's marked on the map. Just north of there, also, just south of the Bay of Fiji, or not the Bay of Fiji, I'm sorry, the Bay of Plenty. The Bay of Plenty, let me bring this up on the map here so you can see it. This water here on the north side of the North Island of New Zealand, by the way, the North Island here is called Raoul Island. R-A-U-L-E Island, Raoul Island. Okay? Here in what we affectionately call the catcher's mitt is the Bay of Plenty. Again, USGS is not showing us any earthquakes. Not on the North Island or even over here in the Bay of Plenty. Guess what? Here's one right here. This is a 2.46 earthquake. A 2.46 earthquake. Guess where that island is just south of there? Guess what island that is? That is White Island. White Island has been erupting. The volcano on White Island has been erupting. That has been erupting in the past. Okay? Now we go over further north in the Bay of Plenty. Okay? Here is a 2.57 also on that same fault zone coming out of Fiji. North of there we have another one. Okay? This is a 2.49. 2.49. And yet USGS is not even talking about it. USGS is not even mentioning any of these earthquakes. Why not? Why not? Now, off of the north side of Gisborne, New Zealand, north side of Gisborne, New Zealand here, we have a 2.42 earthquake here. 2.42 earthquake here. Earthquakes all over this area. And further north, up here in the Kermadec Islands area. Okay? Here is a 3.74 earthquake. 3.74 earthquake, and it's on the same fault zone coming out of Fiji here. That earthquake fault to the right is called the Tongan Trench. That earthquake on the fault on that to the right of that earthquake fault is called the Tongan Trench. So you have the Fiji Ridge and the Tonga Trench there. Okay? We're not showing any other earthquakes either in Tonga or Fiji here. None. Which is kind of surprising. Kind of surprising. And actually I think it's a little bit crazy. Now, I don't know why I show you this earthquake here in the Kura Islands earlier. Okay? But we have another earthquake. We have another earthquake over here near Hokkaido, Japan. This island here is the North Island of Japan called Hokkaido. Hokkaido, Japan. They were not showing this earthquake here earlier today when I showed you Japan. They're not showing any earthquakes here at all in Japan. Well, guess what? The European agency decided to show us this earthquake. This earthquake is on the northeast side of Hokkaido, Japan, near Nemuro, Japan. This is a 3.1 earthquake here. 3.1 earthquake over here on the northeast side of Hokkaido, Japan. But the Europeans aren't showing any other earthquakes there. Okay? Going up from the fault zone coming out of Indonesia here. Okay, there's a fault zone coming out of this is Sumatra, Indonesia here. This island here is Sumatra, Indonesia. This is the western side of Indonesia here. There's a fault zone running down the western side of Sumatra, Indonesia. That fault zone comes over here. Okay, that fault zone comes out over here into Southeast Asia. Comes over here to Burma, or what they call Myanmar. Used to be called Burma, but now it's called Myanmar up here. That fault zone comes up here, and you can see it here in the landscape. You can see the edge of the plate here in the landscape. Okay? We have a 2.1 earthquake here. We have a 2.1 earthquake right here. Burma, Myanmar. Myanmar. Okay? Further to the northeast, China. Myanmar is on the southern side of China. Here in China we have a 3.3 earthquake. 3.3 earthquake. USGS is not even showing that earthquake. United States Geological Survey, again, is not showing that earthquake. Why? Who knows? Who knows? But they're not showing that earthquake. They're not showing an earthquake in the Himalaya Mountains either. Right here over in Nepal, there's a 4.1 earthquake right here. The Himalaya Mountains here is the edge of the tectonic plate. That is the edge of the tectonic plate there. Okay? Then we come over here to Tajikistan and Afghanistan. Interesting. Interesting how that happens. Right here, Tajikistan and Afghanistan. It's the edge of the plate over here. Okay? Tajikistan and Afghanistan. Guess what? Here's Tajikistan here, a 3.7 earthquake here. 3.7 earthquake right there. This small cluster here is a 3.9, a 3.6, a 3.6, and a 3.1. This 3.1 is here in Pakistan. The other earthquakes I mentioned here, just to the west there, in Afghanistan. 3.5 and the 3.6 are here in Afghanistan. I mentioned that one also in Tajikistan, 2 in Afghanistan, and this other one in Pakistan. So we have all the stands completed here. USGS still not showing us earthquakes, huh? Fabulous. They're not showing any earthquakes in Iran or Iraq, anywhere near the Caspian Sea here. Down here, over into the Gulf of Oman, nothing. Not a thing. Guess what? Eastern Iran. Here's a 4.1 earthquake here in eastern Iran. USBS not touching it. 4.1 earthquake in Iran. Okay? How many times have I talked about the border area of Turkey and Syria? Okay? I've talked about it. I've shown this area before. I've shown this area full of earthquakes. Well, guess what? I'm going to show you this area full of earthquakes right now. About 18 earthquakes here in the border region of Turkey and Syria. Why would we have earthquakes here? Why would we have earthquakes right there? Inquiring minds want to know, huh? Folks, 2 years ago last month, February 3rd, 2023, we had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here in the border region of Turkey and Syria. Major 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that happened here. Major damage. Killed over 5,000 people and injured over 5,000 more. We have aftershocks there every day. We have aftershocks here every day, and yet USBS doesn't say a word about it. USBS doesn't say anything about it. We go over here to Turkey, central Turkey. 0.9 microquake over here in center part of Turkey. Earthquakes in northern Turkey. Northern Turkey 1.2, 2.5, 1.0, 1.2, 1.4, 1.1, 1.9, and 1.6. I've taken you from northern Turkey over to western Turkey now. Southern Turkey, 1.7 tremor. Again, these ones are 1.5 to 1.9. Minor tremors here in western Turkey. 1.3 and a 2.3. A 2.3 minor earthquake over here in southern Turkey. Then we go out here to the islands offshore from Turkey. These are the Dokanese Islands that belong to Greece. The Dokanese Islands that belong to Greece. There is a 1.5 tremor right there. Part of the Dokanese Islands that belong to Greece. Okay? Now, USBS is still not showing any earthquakes out here. They're not showing any earthquakes out here. What do we have here? What do you think we have here? Those of you that have been monitoring this show for several weeks now know exactly what I'm talking about. Right here. Santorini Island. Santorini Island is right there. Right here. Right here is where we have a volcano underwater here. Santorini. Santorini, guys. Okay? Guess what? 10 plus earthquakes over here in these islands. All these islands belong to Greece, including Santorini. 10 plus earthquakes out here today. Okay? 1.7, 1.8, 2.9, 2.9 earthquake there. Okay? 2.5, 1.8, 1.9. Why am I talking about it? Because, folks, we have volcanoes there. Underwater volcanoes are what they call now I've let my train of thought went boop, gone. Underwater volcanoes nonetheless. Underwater volcanoes. 2.1. 2.1. This is in the Aegean Sea out here in the Dokanese Islands. 2.1 earthquake there. Okay? 2.0. 1.9. 3.5. 3.5 earthquake there. 2.5. 2.5 minor earthquake. 2.3 right next to it. The south side here. This is 11 miles northeast of Thira, Thira. Guess what? A 1.4 tremor here. Guess what we have happen here underwater? As you can see, we have underwater volcanoes here. You can see the craters here under the Aegean Sea here. We have magma flowing here to the underwater volcanoes. It was once thought that these volcanoes were dormant. As we've been saying for 5+ years now, close to 6 years. April 3rd will be 6 years. As we've been saying for nearly 6 years, all of the volcanoes all around the world are recharging. All of the volcanoes around the world are recharging. Okay? That is why we're seeing earthquakes here in the islands here of the Aegean Sea. That's why we're seeing earthquakes here in the islands of the Aegean Sea. Again, these islands belong to Greece. We've talked a great deal about it. J.B. Rance is saying underwater volcanoes are called La Caldera. Okay? That's what's happening over here in the Aegean Sea. Now, guess what? Let's back this out. Let's go over to mainland Greece. They're not showing any earthquakes at all over here in mainland Greece. But guess what? There are. There are plenty of earthquakes here in mainland Greece. USGS is not even touching them. Unreal. Okay? 1.7. 1.1. Yes, these are tremors. Tremors. Here's Patras. Here's Patras over here in Greece, named after the Apostle Peter. Patras, Greece, we have a tremor here. Okay? It's a 1.7 tremor. Also in Patras, 0.7 microquake. Now, east of there in the Aegean Sea also we have a 0.8 and a 0.5 microquakes here in the Aegean Sea here. Microquakes and tremors all over this area. Guess what? All over this earthquake fault here. All over this earthquake fault here are earthquakes and tremors. We go north. Okay? Here's a 1.5 up here. Algeria. Okay? We go north here. Albania. 2.5. I'm sorry I called it Algeria. It's Albania. It's a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake right there. Further north. Serbia. Here's a 2.7 here in Serbia. Eastern Europe. Why is USGS not showing any of these earthquakes? Not showing us one. Not one. Okay? Crazy. How about Italy here, guys? There's a lot going on here in Italy. USGS is not showing it, are they? Not one. Not one. Down here off the coast of Sicily, we have two volcanoes. Right there. Stromboli volcano and Mount Etna. Stromboli volcano is erupting, as is Mount Etna. They're not showing anything, are they? Over here in southern Italy. Southern Italy. Calabria, Italy. There's a 1.1 tremor here in Calabria, Italy. In the toe of the boot. Italy's called a boot. The land masses of Italy looks like a great big boot. Out here in the toe of Italy, Calabria, Italy, we have a 2.1 or 1.0 earthquake there. 1.0 tremor. Up here in the top of the shoe of the boot, 1.5 2.1, Campania, Italy. Over here on the outside of the boot here, we have a 1.5, Southern Italy. Southern Italy. We come up here to Central Italy. What do we have? More earthquakes. More earthquakes over here on the northeastern side of Italy here. I'm just going to name up a few of them, I'm not going to show you them all. Okay? We have 2.1s, 0.7s, 1.2. This 1.2 is here in Marche, Italy. M-A-R-C-H-E, Italy. Okay? That is a 1.2 tremor. Also here, there's a 1.8 here in Umbria, Italy. 1.8 earthquake here in Umbria, Italy, a tremor. We go north. A 0.8 and a 0.2. Microquakes here. Microquakes here. Now, you might be wondering what is going on here in Italy. What's going on here in Italy? Okay? What have we had happen here? What have we had happen here? We had a bunch of earthquakes right here during this past couple weeks. Why? Because, folks, there is a huge volcano here. As you can see, it's a huge volcanic complex. There are people living all over this area, and some of these people have been evacuated. The agency's not reporting hardly anything going on now. Hardly anything going on. The only earthquakes that I have here are over here north of there. 1.3, 1.3, 1.3, 1.9, 1.2, and 2.1. Tremors and minor earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes. We have volcanic complexes all over here. Look at the volcanoes all over here. Okay? Volcanoes all over here. We had probably close to 100 earthquakes here in the recent weeks. Now it's quieted down. Only 5 minor tremors and 1 minor earthquake here just north of this volcanic complex. Yes, there is still a possibility. There is still a possibility that we could have a volcanic eruption right here. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Okay? I just wanted to get you up to date on what's going on there. So we've had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 17, 19, 20 earthquakes. 20 earthquakes here in Italy. 20 earthquakes in Italy. And USBS showing none. 20 earthquakes here in Italy. USGS saying nothing. Not a thing. Over on the, across the shoreline from Italy, Slovenia, 1.2 tremor. 1.2 tremor in Slovenia. To the north, Venice, Italy. 1.2 here in Venice, Italy. North of there, Austria. Good old Austria over here on the eastern side of the Alps Mountains. Here's a 1.9 tremor there. Northern Italy. Northern Italy. Emilia-Romagna, Italy. I know I just butchered that name. Here's a 2.1 earthquake right there. On the southern side of the Alps Mountains. Over on the northern side of the Alps Mountains here. In the Alps. The Aosta Valley, Italy. Aosta, A-O-S-T-A, Italy. 1.4 tremor here. North of there. This is Switzerland. The Swiss Alps. This is a 1.9 tremor there. Again, what are they doing here on the USGS map? Not showing squat. not squat. Interesting. Now over here we have France, don't we? And then we have the British Isles here. England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland. Down here we have Spain. The border of Spain and France. We usually have 1 or 2 earthquakes here every day. Here is the one earthquake here at the border of France and Spain. This is a 2.4 earthquake here. 2.4 earthquake here at the border of Spain and France. We always have earthquakes there. The Azore Islands. We talked about the Azore Islands before. Right off the shore of Portugal and southern Spain. Here is a 2.7 near San Vicente. 2.7 minor earthquake here off of Portugal and southern Spain right there. The Canary Islands. We talked about Tenerife, haven't we? South of Tenerife. Here's a 2.2 earthquake right there. 2.2 earthquake just off the southwest side, or southeast side of Tenerife. Okay? Further south, on the southeast side of the Canary Islands, Sabiniso, S-A-B-I-N-O-S-A, Sabina, Canary Islands, Spain, right here is a 1.7 tremor. 1.7 tremor. North of there is La Palma Island. This is La Palma Island where we had the Cumbre de Aveyah volcano. And you can see it right there. It's all quiet here on La Palma Island. Okay? We've kind of taken you on a tour all over the world. Over here where the Azore Islands meets the Mid-Atlantic Fault. We have a 2.1 earthquake here where the Azore Islands meet the Mid-Atlantic Fault, a 2.1 minor earthquake right there. Okay? We go north towards Iceland, and further north we have nothing. Not a thing going on. However, we know for a fact that we have some tremors and minor earthquakes happening in Iceland. But USGS is not going to show those, and neither is the European agency for whatever reason. Okay? Over in Puerto Rico. We can't stop in Puerto Rico. We cannot not talk about Puerto Rico. Southwestern Puerto Rico. Here's another 2.1 earthquake, an aftershock of an 8.0 and 8.4 earthquake back here 5 years ago. 5 years ago we had an 8.0 and an 8.4 earthquake here, December 26th, December 28th, 5 years ago. Unreal. Unreal. Over in west central Puerto Rico, here's a 2.5 earthquake here. Now remember that this island of Puerto Rico is also created by a volcano. That is one reason we have earthquakes here, is because magma is flowing to the volcanoes, and all the volcanoes around the world are recharging. Off over in the Mona Passage. The Mona Passage is a body of water between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Here we have a 2.8 earthquake here in the Mona Passage. North of that, also in the Mona Passage here, is a 3.1 earthquake. 3.1 earthquake here in the Mona Passage. Okay? Today, we do not see any earthquakes whatsoever on the Cayman Ridge. The Cayman Ridge earthquake fault, huge earthquake fault here, right here. Stretches from Guatemala out here to the outlying islands, stretches past past the U.S. and British Virgin Islands here, that line islands down here, and then after it takes a tour just east of there, it comes out here and goes westbound into Venezuela here. Incredible. Incredible. Okay? We talked about the pneumatic fault yesterday. We've talked about the earthquakes in Southern California. Before that, we talked about the earthquakes in the Pacific Northwest relating to the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. Does anyone have any questions for me? Does anybody have any questions for me? Just to conclude this, over in Alberta, Canada today. Eden Valley, Alberta, Canada, we had a 3.3 earthquake right there. Eden Valley, Alberta, Canada, we had a 3.1 earthquake here today. Right there. Let's bring down this map to the United States here. Let's go over here. That's Montana. I don't think they're even showing Alberta, Canada here. They're not. That's Washington. They're not showing this earthquake here in Alberta, Canada at all. This is a 3.3 magnitude earthquake. It's in the Rocky Mountains of Canada. The Rocky Mountains of Canada right there. Okay? Unreal. Going down in Butte, Montana. 1.05 tremor in Butte, Montana. Further south, Silvergate, Montana. A 1.75 tremor there. Further south, just love this, northern Utah, northeast of the Great Salt Lake. In Thatcher, Utah, a 0.88 microquake. You see the Great Salt Lake there? Thatcher, Utah is northeast of the Great Salt Lake. Okay? Going down into Utah, central Utah, Milford, Utah. Milford, Utah. We have a 1.87 minor tremor right there. 1.87 earthquake right there, central Utah. This is the southern side of the Wasatch Fault. The southern side of the Wasatch Fault here. Okay? That's why we have that earthquake there. Any questions? Just for kicks and giggles. Just for kicks and giggles. I want to take you up here. Okay? This is Queen Charlotte Island here. USGS is not saying word one about that. Well, guess what? Over here on the western side of Queen Charlotte Island, on the Cascadia subduction zone, we have a 1.24 tremor right there. 1.24 tremor right there. Queen Charlotte Island. Okay? We don't have any other earthquakes necessarily in the Cascadia subduction zone at all. USGS doesn't show it, either do the Europeans. However, guess what? Met-Chosin, Canada. Met-Chosin, Canada. Here we have a 0.09 microquake. 0.09 microquake right there. Now, let's go back here. Let's go back here to the USGS map. Okay? Let's go right over here. Orcas Island. Orcas Island here. We talked a lot about Orcas Island as of late. Guess what? We have a 1.5 tremor here at Orcas Island. Friday Harbor, guys. Friday Harbor. That's why I'm talking about it. This past Sunday, USGS said we had a 4.5 earthquake here at Friday Harbor. I spoke to someone that lives here in Friday Harbor. They said it was not a 4.5 earthquake as USGS said. They said the earthquake felt like a truck ran into their house, shook their house very solidly, then there was up and down motion like this. Up and down motion like this. That was a 5.0 earthquake, as I said. Again, USGS does not want to tell us the truth. They don't want us to know what's going on. This whole area here is the Cascadia Subduction Zone region. The Cascadia Subduction Zone region. That is why we have earthquakes here. That is why we have earthquakes here. USGS can deny it. USGS can say whatever they want. But I keep showing you earthquakes here that they don't have. And yes, sometimes Europeans aren't showing them, just like this earthquake is here today. The European agency is not showing this earthquake near Orcas Island here. But it's happening. It's a tremor. It's an aftershock of the 5.0 earthquake that hit here on Sunday. Any questions? Don Patoga says, Ron, just because I live on the fault, you don't need to draw my attention, LOL. I mentioned the Wasatch Fault. I mentioned the Wasatch Fault. The Wasatch Fault here is over in Utah, guys. I showed you this. I showed you Utah here a little bit ago. Okay? Right down here. This is the Great Salt Lake. I showed you Thatcher, Utah over here. Okay? The Great Salt Lake is right here. This is Salt Lake City. What happened here? What happened here March 18th, 2019? March 18th, 2019, we had a 5.6 earthquake. A very large 5.6 earthquake that created a ton of damage. Millions of dollars of damage throughout Salt Lake City. Millions of dollars of damage throughout Salt Lake City. Facades of homes, the front side of homes and buildings fell down because of the shaking. Buildings fell all over Salt Lake City. Older homes that were built in the late 1800s and early 1900s had part of their building fall off. Part of the structure of the older homes in downtown Salt Lake City fell as a result of that earthquake. Why? Because this earthquake fault here, okay? This earthquake fault here starts over here in southwestern Idaho. Southwestern Idaho. It's called the Wasatch Fault. It runs all the way down here on the eastern side of the Great Salt Lake. You can see it here. This is the Wasatch Fault. It's a mountain range here. On the western side, it's called the Wasatch Fault. This Wasatch Fault runs all the way south into central Utah. Into central Utah, way down here. Okay? Don lives south of Salt Lake City, where I used to live. Don lives in southeast Salt Lake City, where I used to live. Way down here. Way down here. DT says 5.6 is substantial. It really is. I used to live in Sandy, Utah, where Don lives. Guess what? I was sitting on the edge of my bed that morning, 7 a.m., when that earthquake hit. Down in Sandy, 25 miles south of Salt Lake City, where the earthquake hit, just barely, the bed moved just barely. I felt like it was a small earthquake, like a 3.0, 3.2. That's what I thought. But up north here in Salt Lake City, it was a 5.6 earthquake. A 5.6 earthquake that originated right here in Magna, Utah. Good old Magna, Utah right here. That was where the epicenter was. And the seismic energy destroyed facades over here in Magna, West Valley City, the greater area of Greater Salt Lake City, damage all over the place. Don Patoka says, we're only predicting a 7.5 earthquake possibly. Yeah, that's exactly right. We are predicting at least a 6.5 to 7.5 major earthquake that's going to happen here on the Wasatch Fault. Now, what did I just get through telling you about the Wasatch Fault? It starts way up here in southwestern Idaho. It stretches all the way down here to central Utah. 7 different sections. 7 entirely different sections of the Wasatch Fault. Any one individual section of the Wasatch Fault could have a 7.5 earthquake. Any one section of the Wasatch Fault could have a 7.5 earthquake. Or the entire fault. The entire fault could have a 7.5 earthquake. Up and down the entire fault. In other words, we could actually have 7 different 7.5 earthquakes. We could essentially have 7 different 7.5 earthquakes. I doubt it's going to happen that way, but it could. It could. This is a huge fault zone. It's a very dangerous fault zone. When I first moved there 15 years ago, I had emergency managers say, oh, don't worry, Ron. We may get a 6.5, but that's all. A 6.5 is still a substantial earthquake. A very dangerous, very strong earthquake. Now they're saying it's going to happen that we are going to get a 7.5, upwards of a 7.5 earthquake here on the Wasatch Fault. Anywhere from central Utah to southwestern Idaho. Wasatch Fault. Yes, it's going to happen. It is going to happen. Any questions? Any questions? Well, guess what? They are showing an earthquake over here on the Gordis, or not the Gordis cover, it's on the Blanco fracture zone in the central Cascadia region. The central Cascadia region right here. They're showing a 3.2 small earthquake here. This is called the Blanco fracture zone. This area here that is kind of a perpendicular fault zone is called the Blanco fracture zone. It's part of the greater Cascadia subduction zone area region. Okay? The Cascadia subduction zone is an earthquake fault that runs north-south from Queen Charlotte Island that I showed you a minute ago all the way down here to and connects to the San Andreas Fault down here in what we call the Triple Junction area. The Triple Junction. That's it right there. That's it right there. The Triple Junction. Then we also now have an earthquake that hit here on the shoreline here near Ocean View, California. 2.7 earthquake right here in Ocean View, California, Northern California. And of course that 3.2 up here on the Blanco fracture zone. So that's what we have to talk about tonight. I've taken you on a world tour. I've shown you the United States. I've shown you the world in the past 2 hours. How about that? In the past 2 hours. Any question? Any question? Okay, if you'll give me about 3 or 4 more minutes here. At the end of my programs, I've given you a devotional. Why? Because I'm a God-fearing man. I love our Heavenly Father, and I love Jesus Christ. I truly do. They are my life. They're why I'm here. Now, we've been talking about, in my devotionals this week, we've been talking about running a race. Today I'm going to be talking about running lap 2 and lap 3 of the race. Okay? This part is about building the foundation. Building the foundation. The race of life is often gauged by its spirit or its sprint finish. The race of life is gauged by the sprint or spirit of its finishes, or the fervor of its beginnings. Yet, it is a steady pace of the middle laps that often determine the strength of the final push. Laps 2 and 3, and in many ways define the groundwork for the ultimate sacred space that we started talking about yesterday evening. The second lap, constructing stability. Constructing stability. DT just gave us another $5 super chat. DT, thank you very much for that. I'm giving you an EMA sticker, and I'm also giving you a thumbs up for that. God bless you, DT. We appreciate it. The second lap is the building of the foundation. Just like we build a house, the building must have a foundation to sit on. Without a foundation, if we start building it, it will crumble because it does not have a solid base. So this second lap, I'm building a strong foundation. The importance of stability cannot be overstated. Like the solid foundation of a house, it offers a base upon which the edifice of our lives is built. It's the edifice of our lives. During this lap, I've delved deep into what I've been doing as my profession throughout my life. Gathering knowledge, my expertise, and later my credibility as a law enforcement officer. But it is not solely about my profession or even my financial success or my professional milestones as a cop. It was about learning. It was about learning discipline, learning to be resilient in everything I did. And I don't like that word. I don't like the word resilience. But it's about learning discipline and how to stand tough when the tough have to get going. And the value of my consistent effort. The value of all of our efforts. Now, while I was in the beginning committed to building my career or my sacred flame, building my career, the sacred flame, flame as in fire, my ultimate spiritual aspiration always flickered in the background. This phase of my life was crucial in ensuring that when the time came, that I would not be bogged down by worldly concerns, and I could be fully committed to my spiritual journey. By embedding my spirituality within my daily routines, even amid the hostile and sometimes the hustle and bustle of my life, I still had time for my spirituality. my communal time with the Lord. I ensured that my connection with the divine remained unbroken. This past week I talked about us, you and I, building our spiritual connection, our relationship with Jesus Christ. My third lap of my life is scaling the heights of success. Scaling the heights of success. With a stable base, a stable foundation, I sought to scale new heights in my third lap. The milestones were bigger. The stakes even began to be higher. But my rewards seemed to be even sweeter. Every deal that I made, every time I talked with anyone, whether it was a suspect that I had to deal with, or even my partners in law enforcement, or anyone else on the street, I, in all things, tried to have a satisfied outcome, a significant satisfied outcome. That added toward my repertoire of success stories. Yes, even though I had to arrest people and put them in jail, or I had to give them tickets, I always endeavored to try to lift people up, including myself. I did have success stories. I helped turn people's lives around. Only one time was I unable to do it, when that person wanted to just be by themselves, out on the street, didn't want help. Yet with every achievement, the underlying narrative was clear. Success is not an end. Success, even for me, is not an end, but it is a means. It is a means to an end. Every business meeting, every training meeting I ever conducted or ever was part of, every handshake was a personal bridge to something spiritual, a spiritual discourse. Success provided me with the platform, the credibility, and the voice to speak with people and help lift people up. Now, while the world saw a successful cop, a successful missionary, why? It is because I had prepared myself for that outcome. I tried to keep a spiritual platform, a spiritual base. I saw opportunities subtly to share my faith. I saw subtly opportunities to share my faith and to plant seeds of spiritual curiosity. Planting seeds of spiritual curiosity in the minds of those that I interacted with daily. Many did not say anything about that. Many people did not say anything, but they knew what I was talking about. Even though sometimes I didn't always, or wasn't able to always succeed, I was and I still am a man of faith. I am glad I stuck to my guns. I am glad I stuck to my example and my convictions during this time of my life. This particular lap of my life, of the race, I reinforced a crucial lesson. Success and spirituality are not mutually exclusive. Success and spirituality are not mutually exclusive. One can delve deep into worldly pursuits while keeping an eye on the sacred horizon. one can dive deep into the worldly pursuits, your job, your career, while keeping an eye on the sacred horizon. It's about striking a balance. It's about ensuring that one does not overshadow the other. Now, as I transition, I'm actually turning the volume knob. I'm turning the volume knob. As I transition from the third to the fourth lap, my dynamics begin to shift, don't they? My foundation of stability and my pillars of success are still firmly in place. That allows me the freedom and the peace of mind to amplify my sacred endeavors. Now, I'm not just talking about me. I'm also talking about all of you. I'm talking about all of you. You have a foundation. Most of us have a foundation of stability, and we've had somewhat of pillars of success in our lives. And all of that is still firmly in place. That allows each one of us the freedom and the peace of mind to amplify our sacred endeavors. Amplify our sacred endeavors. The worldly worries that we've had are now mostly in the rearview mirror. But what lays ahead on the path is illuminated by divine light. What is in front of us is illuminated by divine light, beckoning us to follow it, beckoning us to be in it. It's an imperative to note this. Laps 2 and 3 were not just detours or distractions from the sacred goal. Laps 2 and 3 are not just detours or distractions from my sacred goal. They were essential chapters that I had to go through. Those laps were sacred challenges, chapters that I had to go through. Building with the narrative for my ultimate spiritual crescendo. Building that narrative of my spiritual crescendo by maintaining a steadfast connection. By maintaining a steadfast connection with my sacred aspirations, even during these past laps, ensures me a seamless transition. Turning up the volume knob on my discipleship. Turning up the volume knob of my discipleship. Our discipleship, yours and mine, echoing louder and clearer as we tread the sacred path. In our lives, it's paramount to understand that our worldly endeavors, our pursuits of stability, our pursuits of success, are not barriers to our spiritual goals. Our pursuits of stability and success are not barriers to our spiritual goals. They can be beautifully entwined, paving the way for a life where the sacred does not just remain a distant dream, but it becomes a living reality. Our sacred life is not just a dream or even a distant dream, but it should be a sacred reality now. Through my journey I hope to emphasize this and exemplify it by showing that when the foundation is strong, when our foundation, not just mine but yours as well, when our foundation is strong, one can indeed reach for the heavens with both feet planted firmly on the ground. Brothers and sisters, let's consider this. Let's consider this to be reality. We've all started with a base to build on, haven't we? We've had a base to build on. The scriptures taught us about building our house on a rock, a spiritual foundation, where all the winds and waves of desperation of the world cannot jar our house, planted on a firm foundation. We can move forward, can't we? God wants us to move forward. God wants us to be a success. God wants us to return to Him. I related this life to a race, and it still is. It's a journey of laps that each one of us can attain and push through. Let's do that. Let's build and continue to hammer on that foundation to make sure it's stable and it never moves. Make sure it's stable and doesn't move. Let's make sure that our feet are firmly planted on the ground. Not just our feet, but our children's and grandchildren's feet as well. Let's make sure they also have a firm foundation. Then let us reach for the heavens. Let us exemplify that and reach for the heavens. I'm not through here. By Sunday, I will go through this again with you. I will make sure that I share this race with you, because I've had a lot of time to put this together. I want us, each of us, to make sure we finish the race. Heather says, blessings to you all, family. I'm grateful for you, sir. I'm grateful for all of you. All of you are what makes me better. All of you are what brings me to my own reality. I love you. I care deeply for each one of you. You're my family. You're my family. Not just my friends, but my family. I've invited you into my home here. Carol and I have invited you into our home to be a part of our lives, to help each other and reach out to each other. I've been doing this for 6 years. YouTube interrupted me 2 years ago. I came right back. 2 years ago, I had 26,000 subscribers. I have now just under 6,500. I hope before the end of this year I have at least 7,000 or more. 3 years from now, I hope to be at least 23, 25, 26,000 again. All of you can help me. Spread our message throughout your lives. Invite other people to listen to our program tonight. There's nothing embarrassing about it. We've given you a lot of good information, hopefully to save your lives, to lift you up and save your lives. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I care about you deeply. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a good night, everybody. Also, please just below this program here in the top of our program description, you can join this program as members of the EMA family here on YouTube. Just below that is our email address. Scrolling across the bottom of your screen is also our email address and our post office box. P.O. Box 104, North Green Street, Box 105. 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. You can send us a donation to our post office box. You can send us a donation to our PayPal and our Venmo locations in the top of our program description to help support this program. May God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side.